Welcome to the only guide you'll ever need to visit Brussels. I'll show you everything, from how to get here from the airport, how to use the public transportation system, where to get fat from eating the most amazing food, why there's lots of statues of public urination, and how to have the most amazing time here in the capital city of Belgium. Welcome to Brussels, a city famous for its incredible food, beautiful architecture, statues that go wee-wee, and the dullest politicians ever. My guide will make your life easy, and you'll know exactly what to do and what to expect before you get here. So let's take a look at a map, and you'll notice that the main area you're interested in is right here, surrounded by this baseball diamond-shaped road. This is the historic centre. This area contains most of the things that you probably want to see. I'll show you around all the main attractions within this centre and some of the attractions outside this area if you have the time. I'll cover in detail how to get in from its two airports and how to get around the city towards the end of the video. But let's start with the most famous and obvious attraction in the city. The Grand Place. This is the central square of Brussels and is voted as the most beautiful square in all of Europe. And after looking at this, you'll see why. You'll be surrounded by incredibly ornate guild houses that are beautifully decorated and painted with gold. These were built by powerful trade guilds centuries ago, and each one has its own unique design and history. It's the historic heart of the city, and the place where most visitors begin their trip. Whilst the buildings are super awesome to look at, the star attraction here is undoubtedly Brussels Town Hall. A magnificent Gothic building with a giant spire. Built in the 15th century, it's surprisingly well preserved considering its age, and it's one of the most impressive buildings you'll see in the city. If you pay for a tour of the place, the audio guide will tell you all about this amazing building. You can marvel at the many historic paintings along its many corridors, go into the beautifully decorated council chamber, these impressive rooms with the gorgeous crystal chandeliers, the famous wedding hall, imagine getting married in a place like this. And the most impressive room is the Grand Ceremonial Hall, where they host banquets, ballroom dances and official functions. It resembles the one at Windsor Castle in England, albeit with a lot more red and gold. Opposite the town hall is the King's House, and despite the name, no king actually lived here. Today it houses the Brussels City Museum. The area around the Grand Place is surrounded by some very strange statues. One of the most famous statues in the world is literally a short walk away from the Grand Place. The Manneken Piss. Yes, it's exactly what it looks like. A small bronze statue of a little boy peeing into a fountain. It's surprisingly tiny, definitely a lot smaller than you think, and honestly, it's a little underwhelming. Just north of the Grand Place, you'll also find the Jeanneke Piss, which is the female version to the Manneken Piss. It's located down a small alleyway, and shows a little girl squatting over a fountain having a wee. Equal opportunities, I guess. And if that wasn't strange enough, to the west of the Grand Place, there's even a statue of a dog doing the same. Brussels clearly loves its statues of public urination, and I honestly have no idea why. Twisted sense of humour, I guess. By the way, there's a Manneken Piss museum, which highlights the hundreds of costumes that the statue wears, which are changed regularly throughout the year. It's honestly not worth the money, so only see this if you are actually interested or incredibly bored. But whilst you're exploring the streets around the Grand Place, you'll quickly find yourself surrounded by narrow medieval streets filled with restaurants, chocolate shops and waffle stands. This is easily one of the liveliest parts of the city, but at the same time, it's a perfect place to chill outside, eating a meal outdoors and just watching the world go by. Just west of the Grand Place, you'll come across the Brussels Stock Exchange building. This grand building sits in a busy square that's now largely a social hub. But believe it or not, this building is no longer a stock exchange, it's a beer museum. Yes, you can go inside and learn all about Belgian beer, and beer in general, in this highly technological, very interactive museum. Belgium produces hundreds of different types of beers, ranging from light lagers to incredibly strong ales brewed by monks. It's interesting to learn about and interact with, and the highlight of the museum is the complimentary beer you get at the Rooftop bar, where you can enjoy some stunning views over Brussels with a nice cold beverage. Now, you don't need to go into the museum to access the Rooftop bar. You can take the lift up here directly for free, but if you come at a busy time like it is right now, it can be painful to get served. Given that they have over 150 different beers on tap, even if you're not normally a beer drinker, this is one place where it's definitely worth trying a few. I usually don't talk about food and drink this early in the video, but as you're probably aware, Belgium is world famous for its food and drink. Firstly, Belgian fries. What makes these special is that they're typically fried twice, and sometimes with beef fat, which makes them incredibly crispy on the outside and fluffy on the inside. They're usually served in a paper cone with a huge selection of sauces like mayonnaise, samurai sauce, etc. You'll see friteries all over the city, and honestly they're some of the best fries you'll ever eat. The best ones I've come across are from Maison Antoine near the European Parliament. This is possibly the most famous establishment that serves them. Fritterie Tambora, there's always a massive line outside this one, and you will be waiting a while, but the fries were worth it. And my favourite place, Friesland, that's had the perfect mixture of crispy and soft. The sauces were admittedly better at Fritterie Tambora, but the fries are definitely better here at Friesland, both of which you'll find a few streets outside the Grand Place. Another essential food to try is the Belgian waffle, and not many people know that there's two different kinds. The Brussels waffle, which is light, crispy and rectangular. The best place to go for these is Le Roi de la Gaufre, very nice and very reasonably priced. And Liège waffles, which are smaller, circular and with caramelized sugar on top. The best place to try these is La Maison de Gaufre, not cheap but certainly one of the best. But most waffle places will load them up with toppings like chocolate, whipped cream, strawberries or ice cream. They're delicious but also incredibly sickly sweet, so pace yourself, otherwise you'll get free diabetes with your trip to Belgium. We've talked about beer already, and if you haven't been to the Stock Exchange building, one of the most famous beer bars in the city is Delirium Cafe, which claims to serve over 2,000 different beers. This is just north of the Grand Place if you want to try. Moules frites, which is cooked mussels and chips. If you like your seafood, this is an exquisite dish that works surprisingly well. Whilst you'll also find seafood restaurants everywhere, the best place to eat this is either at the Zinneke, the most famous restaurant in town, and Chez Lyon, just north of the Grand Place, which was my favourite place to eat moules frites on my trip to Brussels. The last thing you have to try is Belgian chocolate. Whether it's pralines, truffles or chocolate bars, you really can't leave Brussels without trying them all. Some places are quite pricey, but quality does cost money. The most famous name of them all, Neuhaus, is the inventor of Belgian pralines, i.e. the most exquisite chocolate on earth. You'll find their shops everywhere around the city, but the actual place where the praline was invented is in the most prestigious shopping building in the city, the Galeries Royale Saint-Hubert. These beautiful glass-roofed shopping arcades date back to the 19th century and are some of the oldest shopping galleries in Europe. It's very pretty inside, and here you'll find elegant boutiques, cozy cafes and amazing restaurants. There's many luxury chocolate shops, but Neuhaus is undisputably the most famous one, given that the praline was invented in this exact location. If you can get on a chocolate making course here, it comes highly recommended. So once you've digested all that food, it's now time to resume our tour of the city. Around this area, there's many churches that you can visit, including Sainte-Catherine's Catholic Church around the corner from the Beer Museum, beautiful inside and looks suspiciously like Notre Dame, but around the corner from the Royal Shopping Gallery lies the most important church in the city, the Cathedral of Saint-Michel and Saint-Gudula. You'll find this around the corner from Brussels Central Station. And inside, it's a grand old cathedral. Gold altars, high ceilings, carved statues, beautiful stained glass windows, stuff that you'll typically find in a cathedral. These are the famous statues of Saint Michel and Saint Gudula, and they'll be watching you whilst you walk around this incredible cathedral. Given that it's free, it's worth about 20 minutes of your time to explore. A short walk away, you'll find Brussels Parc, one of the largest green spaces in the city centre. This peaceful park sits between several important government buildings and offers tree-lined paths, fountains, and plenty of beaches where you can sit and relax in the sun. At the far end of the park, you'll come across the Royal Palace of Brussels. This is the official palace of the Belgian king, although the royal family actually lives elsewhere. During the summer months, parts of the palace are open to the public, allowing visitors to explore the grand halls and staterooms inside. But it's only open on select days and you have to book this in advance. Walk south from here and you'll reach the Mont des Arts, a beautiful landscaped area with gardens, fountains, and one of the best viewpoints in central Brussels. But whilst you're here, you've actually landed in Museum Central, and some of the most important museums are located here. Some of these museums include the Royal Museum of Fine Arts, gorgeous building inside, and you'll find some famous works in here, particularly of Belgium's premier artist Jan van Eyck. If you're into art, this is the #1 destination for you here in Brussels. The Magritte Museum next door focuses on surrealist works of the famous Belgian artist René Magritte. Admittedly, I was not a fan. Another unique museum across the street is the Musical Instruments Museum. It contains hundreds of instruments from around the world, ranging from the ancient to the modern, and it's surprisingly interesting if you're into that sort of thing. Further south, you'll find the Palais de Justice, a gorgeous court building that is currently under renovations, so unfortunately you can't visit right now. Right next door, you'll find the city's giant Ferris wheel, The View. It gives you gorgeous views of the city, especially on a nice day like it is right now. Oh, and Belgium is also the epicenter of the comic book world. Some of the most famous comic book characters were invented right here. Tintin, the Smurfs, Asterix, and Lucky Luke. You'll find paintings of these throughout the city on the side of buildings and people's houses. So whilst you're exploring the streets of the historic centre, be sure to check out some of the world-famous murals that you'll find throughout the city. You never know who you might run into. There's even a museum dedicated to Belgian comic books across the street from Central Station, and I recommend that you visit if you're a fan of comics or you want to learn more about these quirky characters. Whew, so that was everything of note in the historic centre of Brussels. That's within a reasonably short walking distance from each other, and most people would be happy with just that. But if you're prepared to go outside this area, there's quite a lot more to do, but you might need public transport to reach them. The east side of Brussels is famously the European Quarter, home to the infamous European Parliament. The architecture here is far more modern compared to the historic centre, and the atmosphere feels very international. This is where many of the institutions of the European Union are located. There's several things that you can do here for free, but unless you're interested in politics, admittedly, it can be quite dull. Very dull, actually. Probably the most exciting thing is the Hemisphere. This is where the European Parliament convenes to vote and debate on laws and regulations. Once you've picked up your audio guide, follow it around the building, where it'll teach you all about how the European Parliament works, and you can stand in the upper gallery and watch the proceedings. It sounds more riveting than it actually is. Whilst entry is free, you will need to show your passport on entry and book in advance, otherwise they don't let you in. If you want to learn more, there's an interactive museum next door called Parliamentarium, where you can learn through interactive exhibits how the EU works. Again, it's free, but only see this if you're interested in politics, as to me, it was probably the dullest museum in the city. A more interesting museum around the corner is the House of European History. It's as the name implies, it's a museum showcasing the history of Europe as a continent. It's worth checking out because it's free, and you might find some interesting things here, though I'd suggest not spending hours in this place. Outside, you'll also find the Natural History Museum, full of dinosaur bones and dead animals on display, and Leopold Parc, which is a surprisingly nice green space, just in case you need a walk in the sun, sit in the shade, or a lie down to forget all about politics. Nearby, you'll find the Parc de Cinquantenaire, a huge park space that's a very nice place to chill out with friends, enjoy the sunshine, and watch the fountains be fountainy. But it's dominated by this massive arch, the Arc de Triomphe. Not to be confused with the one in Paris, which is a lot smaller but more famous. It actually looks more like a merger of the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin and Hofburg Palace in Vienna. Check out my city guides for these if you're interested. Hint hint, click click. It's a super giant arch that was built to commemorate Belgium's independence, and the surrounding buildings now house several museums, including the Royal Museum of the Armed Forces and the Military History Museum, both of which are fantastic if you're into war or big giant war machines. But my favourite museum that's also here is Autoworld. Honestly, this was one of the best car museums I've ever visited, and I've been to a lot. Everything from classic cars to super modern Ferraris, battered bikes and F1 cars. You can even sit inside one if you want. They even had a special Lancia section which showcases some of the most famous rally cars in the world. And overall, if you like looking at cars or learning about cars, you'll love it in here. Now, let's leave the east side of the city and go north, where you'll find the most futuristic structure in Brussels. This is the Atomium. Originally built for the 1958 World's Fair, it has since become one of the most recognisable landmarks in Belgium. It represents an iron crystal, magnified 165 billion times, and consists of 9 giant steel spheres connected by tubes. There's some amazing photo opportunities around here, and seeing it from the outside is more than enough for some people. But if you pay to go inside, use the lift to take you to the very top, where you get some amazing views over the city. There's not much to do here at this top sphere, it's pretty bare bones inside, and admittedly, you'll be done in about 5 or 10 minutes. Most tourists mistakenly leave at this point without going into the other spheres, which you can only access by going back down the lift and using the escalators. It's not that obvious, so please don't just visit the top level and then leave. There's much more to explore. In the other spheres, you've got exhibitions about its construction, creepy light shows that are absorbing, colourful rooms, electricity buzzing all around you, and there's even one that resembles a techno nightclub. It's all very cool in a technological kind of way, but if you are epileptic, this will be a nightmare for you, as the flashing lights can be disorientating. Still fun if you like that sort of thing. Next door, you'll also find Mini-Europe, a park featuring mini replicas of famous landmarks from across the European continent. You can walk around tiny versions of the Eiffel Tower, Big Ben, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and dozens of other famous monuments. Built to 1/25th of the scale of the real thing, it's a bit quirky, but actually quite fun, especially if you're travelling with children. If you're attending a trade show, you'll most likely do it here at the Brussels Expo Centre, just north of the Atomium. Not worth exploring if there's nothing on like right now. And you'll also find the Edam Museum of Design, showcasing the very best of Belgian design products. I actually enjoyed this one. It has some really suggestive pieces on display. Hey, I had these too. The ticket is free if you've been inside the Atomium already. But admittedly, would I pay for this with my own money? Probably not. If you've got a free ticket with your Atomium ticket, it's worth 20 minutes of your time, otherwise don't bother. There's Osseghem Park next door, a gorgeous green space with lakes and gardens, where you can take a nice romantic walk with the Atomium in the distance. Look out for the Monument of Dynasty, that's fairly cool. I like that it's in the middle of a beautiful green hill. You will see the King's Castle of Laeken in the distance, but that's usually not open to the public. The final main attraction is a little out of the way, but if you have the time, come visit the National Basilica of the Sacred Heart. This is one of the largest basilicas in the world, and it kinda looks like the Castle of Mordor from the outside. It's free to enter, and once inside, it's typical of a large cathedral, very picturesque inside, with the grand altar, statues, chapels and stained glass windows. All of this doesn't cost any money to see, but if you can spare €8, buy your tickets from this machine to activate the doors to the lift, where it'll take you to the upper part of the cathedral. You get arguably better views of the place from up here, access to some of their museums, which all seem to be closed when I went, but the main thing you're paying for is access to the top of the dome, the panorama, which gives you some of the most amazing views of the city from here. The views are pretty, however, if you suffer from vertigo, it's quite high up here, and with the wind and the uneven floors, you might feel a little bit sick, so only do this if you're okay with heights. Some of the other attractions I went into that you also might be interested in is the Belgian Fries and the Belgian Chocolate Museums, both located opposite each other and right next to the Manneken Piss. Quirky museums, although admittedly, unless you're itching for something to do, you could avoid them both and not miss all that much. And the Museum of Infinite Realities, an interactive museum that takes you through the spiritual journey to find your spirit animal. You have to complete different tasks and answer different questions that take you to different rooms, which results in a different experience for everyone. Really interesting actually. I was pleasantly surprised with this one. As night falls, Brussels becomes a fantastic city to explore. I recommend walking around the Grand Place, and it looks especially magical after dark, when the buildings are illuminated and the crowds begin to thin out. It's the perfect time to return here, take some photos and simply enjoy the atmosphere, or gorge on street food whilst walking in this amazing city at night. Overall, Brussels truly has something for everyone. If you're thinking of visiting, don't hesitate. Definitely add this to your ultimate bucket list. Okay Nin, I'm sold. What do I need to do? Well, you need to come here to Brussels. Brussels is served by 2 airports. Most of you will fly into Brussels Airport Zaventem, the main airport that services the city. The fastest way into the city centre is by train. Simply follow the signs inside the airport to the railway station, visit one of these machines, and buy a ticket for a train to one of the 3 main Brussels train stations. Obviously, the one you pick depends on your end destination. Most people take the train to Brussels Central Station, and the journey takes around 20 minutes. From Brussels Central Station, you'll already be within walking distance of the Grand Place and most of the major attractions in the city centre. Alternatively, you can take the Flipco Airport bus, which connects the airport with the European Quarter and other parts of the city. This can be a better option depending on where your hotel is located. If you're stingy like me and have flown with a cheap airline like Ryanair, it's a little bit more complicated, because you might end up at Brussels Charleroi Airport. The name is a misnomer because it's hilariously nowhere near Brussels. It's actually an hour away in the town of Charleroi, and the easiest way to get to the city centre is to use the Flipco shuttle bus, which you can catch outside the airport's bus terminal. It's usually platform number 1, and all you need to do is buy a ticket from a machine, scan it upon boarding the bus, and an hour later you'll end up at Brussels Midi South Station. Tickets cost €20 one way, slightly cheaper for a return ticket, and obviously this section outside South Station is where you get the bus back to the airport. If you're only interested in attractions around the Grand Place, you probably don't need public transport, as it's all walkable. But if I were you, I'd buy an all-inclusive travel pass, which allows you access to the underground metro, the trams, and buses that take you all around the city. To buy this ticket, simply find one of these ticket machines, which are located in stations and transit stops throughout the city. Select your language, choose the ticket you want, and pay using cash or card. When it spits out your pass, it'll look like this. To use it, simply walk to a turnstile, scan it, walk through, and away you go. On the metro system, you'll also need it to activate the turnstiles to exit the station. But on things like buses and trams, you only need to tap in once. The transport system itself is easy to use, the signs are clear and obvious, and it's no different to any other mass transit system you've encountered before. Please note, if you do buy the all-inclusive passes, they only count from the day you first use them, not from the time you activate it. So, if you do activate it at 11 o'clock at night, you've effectively wasted an entire day's worth of travel. The cost? Brussels is not the cheapest city in Europe, but it's not outrageously expensive either. Food prices can vary wildly depending on where you eat, and you'll be paying more for food in the super touristy places. Quite a lot of the attractions I've mentioned in this video are free, with the other main attractions fairly reasonably priced. However, these can add up, so if you see a deal for combined tickets, that might be a good way to save you some money. If you're looking for a place to stay, I highly recommend staying somewhere near Brussels Central Station, or close to the Grand Place. This area puts you within easy walking distance of most of the major attractions and makes it very convenient for first-time visitors. I stayed at the Bedford Hotel and Congress Centre around the corner from the Manneken Piss, and it was very handy and walkable to all the major attractions around the Grand Place for a very reasonable price. Other hotels are available, but as long as you're staying near a metro or tram stop, getting around the city is fairly easy. Is there anything else I need to know? Yes, the weather in Brussels can be quite unpredictable. Rain is common throughout the year, so it's always a good idea to bring a waterproof jacket or umbrella just in case. The city centre is very walkable, but the streets are often cobbled, which can be uncomfortable if you're wearing the wrong footwear. Wear comfortable shoes, and you'll thank me later when your feet don't hurt. The official spoken languages here are French, German and Dutch, with French being the default major language that most people will speak to you in. English is widely spoken, and most visitors will have no trouble communicating. When using public transport, you have to manually open the doors like this. And whilst you can technically use your bank card to activate the turnstiles instead of buying an all-inclusive travel pass, I didn't find that this actually worked for me. So stick to buying your tickets from a machine until they fix that. If you're doing anything at the European Parliament, prior booking is required, and you will need your passport to enter, otherwise they don't let you in. I strongly recommend downloading an offline map to your phone before you arrive, as this will make navigating the city much easier. And where possible, buy an international eSIM for your phone so that you can access the internet cheaply just in case you need the internet to get you out of trouble. And finally, check out my other guide to Bruges, which is a day trip away from Brussels. This picturesque town, with its canals, romantic spots, amazing history, and weirdly, the blood of Jesus Christ, I recommend that you devote at least one day of your vacation to seeing this fabulous city. If you've enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, share and subscribe. Leave your questions and suggestions in the comment section below. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Whilst I'm happy to look at that stereotypical view of Brussels, I gotta admit, I'm quite queasy up here. I'm not usually scared of heights, and I usually don't suffer from vertigo, but for some reason, I'm feeling quite sick up here. I don't know if it's just the uneven floors, the height, the wind, and the weird birds flying around, but yeah, this is making me a little bit sick. So if you are scared of heights or suffer from vertigo, don't come up here.